Note-taking for consecutive interpreting. David Violet here. What follows is an excerpt from one of our seminar and practice sessions. It's got a few tips that I think are interesting, and this will be part of a series of excerpts from these various practice sessions, which we hold a couple times a week, and you would be very welcome to join us if you like. So let's get going. You will find more information about this. Check out the description below, where you'll have links to the sessions and to other courses that I prepare. And please give me a like and please subscribe. Okay, sorry, that was a little bit shorter than sometimes. I was in one of the rooms initially. There was a problem with how to tell where in my notes to start. And that has happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to all of us. And the way that I recommend, let's see, you can see my... So here we have the notes. I'm using it going down the page as subject, verb, object, link, subject, verb, object. Let's say now the speaker has stopped. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, and now let's say, and then I go all the way through it, and now I've finished my speech. So now I'm going to start taking notes again. I recommend, okay, if you're a starving student like I was, and we're going to use absolutely every square inch of paper, I would just cross out this part, or actually just the last idea. I'm left-handed, so it goes that way, and if you're right-handed, it'll probably go that way. And then you can keep going here. You can keep going here. And then when you finish, of course, you should have your finger here anyway, if you're doing it standing. If you're doing it on the table, you should have it landing like that, right? And so you'll naturally bring it back to the beginning, and then you'll see which part is crossed out. If you don't keep track either by on the table having it like that, or standing, having your finger, you're going to have to search through. So that is the first thing about knowing where you stopped. But you must also cross out the last idea and then start writing here. And if you're a millionaire interpreter like I am now, because the gold bars just keep coming in. In that case, you might just do the whole page and say, okay, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I'm just going to have every piece will start at the top of a piece of paper, which I can't seem to separate out here. And so you could start every time at a new sheet. Anyway, you can keep track that way I just showed, by having it lie out on the table or by having your finger underneath it. Okay, so any comments about that? Should we just go into the next part? Okay, let's go. So we all get yanked back here by the timer. I noticed that newscasters, they actually use fillers, and I think they do it intentionally. So for example, they use, and I weeded those things out long ago thinking that was an error. Anyway, it is for us, okay? So when I'm speaking now, I might say here and there naturally, and I think that's natural and it's okay. But for us as interpreters, we can't use those fillers. And is absolutely forbidden. I think they do that on newscasters to sound like conversational, even though they've planned out pretty well what they're going to say. We can't use any fillers at all. Always control that, monitor that, and the best way to do that is to record yourself and listen afterwards. And something that I heard in one of the rooms was that at school we're always told to remember to write down the beginning and the end, and I agree, especially the end. But yes, the beginning also. The end, you might want to actually write down verbatim the last 2 or 3 words. It's not bad to do that. And what it requires is that your audience will listen for a fraction of a second longer, but it's okay. Make sure, just let them wait. You've got to do your job and write down that last idea. There's something about the ending that is tricky. I think our mind is interrupted by this thought, oh my goodness, it's ending, and now I have to say something. And that thought can occupy the place that is supposed to be occupied by your analysis of what was just said, and you're noting down something to remind you of that. So it's a trap. So do be careful at the end. There's another little point about when you're writing something down. It's something I teach in the courses, which is how to abbreviate. There's several different things, acronyms, abbreviations, symbols, they're all different. And the way we teach is to write the first 2, 3, or 4 letters, and then the last letter or two in superscript. But you know what I end up doing most of the time is just writing enough letters that I won't confuse it with anything else. So you need to gain this reflex, which is 1 letter, no, it's not good enough. 2, could confuse it. 3, as you're writing, right? Or maybe you think you finished, you glance, you go, no, I gotta add something. So you add that, you use those reflexes, which you gain here. Okay, so let me go into that point a little bit more. So I wrote down, if you write for historic, if you write the first 3 letters, obviously it looks like another word that has nothing to do, his. So HIST is much better for the word historic. And then to illustrate the system, if it's a very long word, the last, actually this is not according to the system, it would be a C if it was historic. So HIS with a C in superscript. So the main thing is to gain that reflex of monitoring as you write. A reflex which tells you that's going to confuse me. I need to add more, just a little more. Don't be too hard on yourself. Everybody has their own way. Some people actually are very fast with the pen, and they have very legible handwriting, and they can just write the whole word. If you can remember, we're not trying to economize space on the page. We're trying to economize time. So if you can just and get the whole word, don't waste time looking for a better way, which would take even longer. Although there's something to be said for that during a practice session, which is an opportunity to work out a better way. So, but practice also doing just whatever works for you. And don't beat yourself too hard if you end up writing out the whole word.
The thing is, I'm trying to use less because I'm not a fast writer.
Okay. So. Then, then use this time here or any other practice time to do what I'm saying. And I'm just these are just recommended systems, which is to write the first 2, 3, 4 letters and the last letter or 2. And sure, HIS with C could be Hispanic or historic. Well, your listening should be clear enough for you to, you see, you should actually be, as you're arriving at that idea, glancing down, going, okay, that's the part about it being a long time phenomenon. And okay, so HISC, that means historic. Your mind is sort of working that out as you get there. So to some extent, you just rely on your listening. In fact, almost entirely, right? You just want to. I know you picked that example because it just came to mind, but it's totally different, right? So you're not going to confuse those two. But there are some where you would, where, for example, the difference between commission, communication, or that's the one I always use as an example, commission, communication. It would start out with a COM, and you would have an N in superscript, so it would be the same as other things. When you know it's something like that, in fact, something as common as commission, council, committee, I would have a symbol, or at least a set way of writing an abbreviation. those come up all the time, and you have to be able to distinguish between committee, commission, council. Yeah.
Yesterday in the speech, the lady used the name of a whole institute. I don't know if anyone remembers, but it was sort of like the Institute for Kidnapped Children or something like that. Missing children and something else, but it was an entire name of an institution. And although I got what the institute was about, when I rendered the speech, I didn't run the risk of naming it wrongly. So because you said that you would use something specific when it is commission, committee, and so on. How do you handle this situation where you've never heard the name of that institution ever?
Okay.
It's the first time you hear it.
Yeah, and that happens all the time. First of all, we do a lot of preparation to try to avoid that happening, right? So we'll look for the person on YouTube. We'll look at their minutes of their last meeting. We'll look at all that, and we'll be doing a lot of research. And so if it's something that's going to come up almost for sure, we'll have that name down pat, and we'll have it in a list. But if often something will come up, let's say the Environmental Protection Agency. Okay, so if I heard that, it's an acronym. Okay, I'm going to impose on you my atrocious handwriting. Usually I do this so I would write E, right? Environmental Protection Agency first. So it would look something like that. But I would look at that and go, you're going to have a thought there, which is, okay, they've already used this several times, and I've heard them say EPA, so it's okay for me to say EPA. They do it, so I can do it. But in many cases, it'll be the very first time. I think that's what you're referring to. So you can't satisfy yourself with the acronym because the speaker didn't satisfy herself with the acronym. So you're going to have to say it, the whole thing, if you can. And what I recommend is you glance at that. You get EPA because they're going fast. You get the first ones, and then you keep listening somehow, and you write below the NV right below it. So that ENV is probably enough. And then PRO, and of course I'm going to be thinking, am I going to confuse that with professional? No, I think I've got it. I'm going to remember protection. And then here I could put just a G. You can see how horrible my handwriting is anyway. So AG is pretty good for agency. You could also put AGY. Anyway, but what I'm getting at is get the first letters first and then add a letter or two to each of them underneath or above or anywhere that your system works. Is that something that answers your question, Sylvia?
Yes, thank you.
So that's and that sort of illustrates what we're doing a lot of the time. We jot down. So for example, when I get a list, I'm usually writing up something. I hear the list and I'm writing something else. I quickly go down here and go 1, 2, 3. I just got a 3-person list, so I'm going to write 3 dashes. I'm going to write 3 little lines. 1, 2, 3. And the speaker keeps going, and now I know I have 3 items to fill in, and I better have listened. And I write them in on the best I can. And maybe I'll just get the first 2, and the third one I don't. I know that I'll get there, and I'll say the first 2, and I'll add and others. So the way we take notes is sort of that, always like that. We're trying to get down as much as these major things, like, okay, it's a 3-item list, at least I have that. Okay, I got time. I can write in the first one and the second one. Oh, let's just keep going. I can't get the third one. I've got to listen and write something else. So the whole process is sort of getting down the sort of an outline form, a sort of things that show you basically what's there and you better remember at the most basic level, and then filling in the details to the best you can. And so this system of writing an acronym is just another way of doing that. Is that good, Sylvia? Answer the question?
Yes, thank you. That's very helpful.
Okay, good. So we got time for one more. let's go on to do the next one.